Our speaker today is Tess Cherry. Tess has been a part of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Corpus Christi for about 20 years. She is our RE coordinator and currently teaches at CCISD at SSC. Please welcome Tess.
For a time, I was also affectionately known as the Queen of Everything, so thought I needed to add that in. Yes, I did, and it buzzed twice, just like I was told. What's up, man? Thank you. The evolution of feminism in Disney princesses. Pursuant to our UU principles, we support the inherent worth and dignity of every person, now expressed more simply as love, justice, and equity for all. Our global community has a lot of work to do in that regard, but I'm here to discuss one way in which there is hope. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. This is a saying that has been used for many decades, most recently by Martin Luther King Jr. and Barack Obama. But it is credited to Unitarian minister and American transcendentalist Theodore Parker. The exact quote was published in one of a series of sermons in 1835, believed to foreshadow the Civil War and the end of slavery. It states, "Look at the facts of the world. You see a continual and progressive triumph of the good. I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience. But from what I see, I am sure it bends toward justice." Time is moving faster now. The arc of justice is more visible, at least with respect to women's rights. We have recently seen certain setbacks. We have gone from chattel to the suffragettes and women's libers, and then sparked the Me Too movement. And women, even as we are tested, we go stronger. Disney movies reflect that evolving strength. We start as damsels in distress and in need of a prince, but we eventually find our own power to save ourselves and our communities. I think this thing is broken. It changed? Okay, all right. It's not nice. There can be no denying that the stories we tell both describe the past and mold the future. So it is only appropriate that we make ourselves aware of the context of the characters in our popular story vernacular. Disney movies are a fine example of this phenomenon. Through changing gender roles, villainous characteristics, weapons, and goals, we see quite clearly the bending of the arc of the moral universe. And I, for one, fully enjoy Disney's evolving princesses and the impact that evolution can have on our young people. We should not be afraid to take our children to these movies, but let's be sure they see the entire catalog and process the mixed messages. The original Snow White is the quintessential damsel in distress, the evil queen suffering from female jealousy, sends Snow White out into a dangerous world alone. She stumbles upon a group of men, dwarves, who take advantage of her household services in exchange for a certain level of protection. But the jealousy, persistent and powerful, escalates the matter until she is poisoned, comatose, and beyond the help of the dwarves. It takes a kiss from a stranger, Prince Charming, while she lies incapacitated to save her. Traditional story, right? If you haven't seen it, the recent live-action remake, Snow White and the Huntsman, has Snow White leading an army to take down the evil queen. A step up from the traditional story and reversing the roles. In the new version, the prince, who is stuck back in the castle with the evil queen, is the one in distress, needing the princess's help. And the true love's kiss for Snow White comes from the huntsman, who spent time to get to know her on her quest. Their love is founded on their joint adventure. Evil women multiply in Cinderella, the glass shoe movie. Our protagonist is enslaved by her step-family oppressors, again, having to keep house for others. She is rescued by her fairy godmother this time, but the goal is still the instant and inexplicable love of a prince. At least he must work to find her again. But really, the key is a stiletto shoe. Shoes are important, but are they that important? In the current live action and other versions of this story, there is a meeting before the ball between Cinderella and the prince. This meeting at least provides some substance to the relationship, and it is not just about physical attraction. That meaning is crucial to negate the love at first sight myth we have come to know all too well. This thing. I swear, as a teacher, I'm usually well-versed in this stuff. There we go. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. Aurora is another sleeping beauty, cursed at birth by an evil fairy, only to be rescued by a kiss from Prince Charming. But the recent remake, Maleficent, the kiss of true love comes from Maleficent, being the invisible caretaker of Aurora due to the mess of the fairies. As Aurora grows in isolation, Maleficent sees her as her own child, revealing the path of true maternal love that we have not seen in Disney movies in the past. Then we have The Little Mermaid, in which Ariel, King Neptune's daughter, lives under the sea and dreams of walking on terra firma with a two-legged man. When Ariel comes to the stage, we see a princess with the rebellious streak. She has some choice in her destiny, albeit an unfair one. We see for the first time a sacrifice from the princess to pursue the man of her dreams. At the instance of yet another evil queen, a sea monster this time, she gives up her voice, her family, and everything under the sea for her man-centered dream. We still see that she needs to use her appearance to seduce the prince because a kiss will make her whole again. And the prince ultimately vanquishes the evil. In Beauty and the Beast, we finally see the role of a villain assigned to a male. And Belle is no damsel in distress. She's still pretty, and the villain Gaston begins his treachery with unwanted advances. But she is smart and has a healthy relationship with her inventor father. It is her love for her father that sends her into the forest where he is being held captive in an enchanted castle by a different villain, one who is the victim of his own meanness. Belle sacrifices her freedom to save her father from the beast. If you recall the story, the beast is a beast because he has been cursed for being a mean person. The curse can only be broken if he can find someone to love. So Belle, no easy mark, uses her indomitable attitude to call the beast out for his bad character. As she learns about his fate, she helps him to become a better person and only then falls in love. This is the first time in the original Disney evolution that we see a prince in need of a rescue from the princess, and Belle becomes a princess only after she breaks the spell on the prince. Jasmine, from the movie Aladdin, is a very different kind of princess. She does not want to be trapped in the castle where the evil Jafar secretly hopes to manipulate power away from her and her family. Jasmine wants to be out among the people, and for the first time with a release date in 1992, not treated as an object to be won by some man. Aladdin, a street urchin, falls for her and then must woo the girl. This is a different power dynamic. Aladdin does save the girl from the evil clutches of the villain Jafar, but the focus of the story is more about Aladdin coming into his own power than any magical kiss. Pocahontas, the ultimate mediator between her Native American tribe and the European invaders, is a new kind of princess. She makes choices from a position of strength and uses her head and her influence to bring peace to a male-dominated dispute without succumbing to being a sex object. She rebels against her father's decree of marriage, opting for John Smith. Even their parting at the end displays the strength of Pocahontas. Mulan is our first warrior hero. Her country requires a man from each family to fight in a war, but her father is frail. She assumes the male identity to take her father's place. She then uses her female intellect to save the day. But before we celebrate the end of the savior male, the movie must make sure her happily ever after involves a man. Like Belle, Mulan does not start out as princess, but she ends up as one. In the movie The Princess and the Frog, Tiana is an ordinary girl from an ordinary family. She is confronted by a cursed frog that needs a princess's kiss to break the spell and make him a prince again. In this story, we see the characters spend most of the movie together and see a love story unfold, giving power to the relationship rather than their social positions. The transformation only happens because Tiana is not so ordinary as we were led to believe. But neither is she royal. She is the princess of her father's restaurant. The modern version of Rapunzel's story, you know, the let down your golden hair story, is where we see the woman take full charge. She initiates the quest for her own freedom, recruiting help from Flynn. Her handy frying pan comes not as a symbol of service to others, but the weapon she needs to command her world. We again see a love story unfold between the two leads over many adventures and tight spots. Escaping together, they grow closer. However, Flynn's betrayal drives Rapunzel back into the hands of her evil mother, Gothel. In a sense, ending the love story. Yet he repents and she exercises a newfound power to bargain for his life. A story of inner strength, disappointment, emotional intelligence, and forgiveness. Last, in the 2013 release of Brave, Merida is a princess who does not want or need a man in her life. She must find a way around the cultural tradition of allowing men to compete for her hand, in which she chooses archery as the competition. And if you haven't seen it, it starts with, "I'm shooting for my own hand." She uses her archery skills to defeat all contenders, thus earning the right to her own hand, freedom from marriage. This is the first time we see no love story unfold, in the traditional sense at least. There is no leading man. The love is between a mother and daughter. The mother is saved by the daughter by mending their rocky relationship. A whole smack in the face to the traditional Disney princess movies we have known for years. Now, we can't talk Disney without talking about villains. We seem to have a dichotomy of the role of women in these stories. The princess versus the evil villainess. From the very beginning, we see the wicked queen who is envious of Snow White and wants to take her life. Envy also features predominantly in the evil stepfamily's treatment of Cinderella. Maleficent is a more complex figure. In the original animated film, the king and queen decide not to invite Maleficent to Aurora's christening because they believe she is evil. So Maleficent meets their expectation by cursing Aurora to die of a pinprick at age 16. In that version, Maleficent was jealous and hurt by being left out. But in the new telling of the story, we learned that a boy, who had been her close friend, betrayed Maleficent in order to become king. Maleficent's curse is a matter of revenge for far more than a missed party. And she ends up taking care of the cursed princess, develops that maternal love, and ultimately saves her from the incompetent fairies. But these storylines are all stereotypically feminine in nature. Belle and Mulan are different. Their stories speak of strength and intellect, stereotypically male traits, because they must defeat a male villain and not seduce the first prince that comes along. We start to see the equalizing of roles. When a man is introduced as the villain, maybe we are learning that strength and intellect are not gender traits. It is interesting to see that as a good woman becomes stronger, evil women become superfluous. There is no longer an appetite for petty jealousies that fueled the early Disney stories. And you can even say that as women become stronger, her foe is neither male nor female, not an individual at all, but the patriarchy itself. Now, we have to talk about the boys, because feminism, remember, equality, right? So, the boys, audience perspective in this analysis of feminism. Early on, the princes of our stories saved the princess in distress with a non-consensual kiss or whisking them off their feet, an unrealistic, ultimately misogynistic message. As we move through the movies, we see the male figures progressively doing more than just responding romantically to feminine beauty. They are becoming more three-dimensional and more integrated into complex friends and family relationships. They treat women as partners. This again. Okay, there we go. It is good to see women reclaim their power in popular media. Feminism, the advocacy of equality between the sexes. is part of our moral obligations of UUs. In preparing this message, I noticed that even in early Disney movies with more traditional gender roles, there is a balance of labor. And while Disney has made great strides, it is still lagging in my viewpoint. In my home, both my parents brought home the bacon and shared the duties of the household. Dad did the cooking phenomenally. And mom did the cleaning. I saw an equal division of duties when I got cancer. Who was able to stay with me at the hospital and who went to work. Luckily, they both had variable schedules and were able to be by my side when I needed them. They tag-teamed the raising of 2 very successful children. Disney royalty may not be there quite yet. We were raised on Disney movies and loved every aspect of them. I sang very off-key along with the movies. I have never met a girl who did not want to be a princess at some point. I know that I wanted to be saved by Prince Charming more than once in my life. And growing up on these movies, I wanted the furniture to come to life and sing along with me every day. Imagination is fun and creative. But I am glad to be witnessing a feminist evolution, or is it revolution, in Disney stories. And I am glad to have the real-life examples of female power. And I rejoice watching other girls grow up more empowered. In the end, I still have a favorite Disney princess. We all do, even if you won't admit it. And now more than ever, I feel like a feminist and am proud that Belle, with the intellect as a weapon, is my favorite. Let's keep bending the moral arc of the universe toward the good. Let's celebrate stories that upend stereotypes to reflect and inspire that arc. Thank you.